Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Paper Therapy with Amy. I have a layout for you today featuring the Otterly Adorable paper pack. I will bring in some paper from the Country Woods paper collection as well. I was at a retreat when I created this layout, so if the lighting seems anything different to you, then that's probably why. I've prepared my photos before I started filming, so I printed these out with a white border and then just kind of tacked them together so I could lift them up as a whole. The ones across the top are 4x6s, including the white frame. The ones down the right-hand side are 2x2s with no white frame. And the ones across the bottom, I'm not exactly sure on the size because I just kind of placed them there how I thought they looked good. So I didn't have an exact measurement. To help you gauge that bottom row though, I'm pretty sure that picture of my friend and I underneath the A-frame cabin is about a 3x4 including the white border. So you should be able to figure out the rest from that. Well, obviously I had to use the wood grain paper with the teal paint on it for this cabin since it just looks just about the same color. So I'm going to use that together with the Otterly Adorable paper because the same colors are in it. And so I'm just going to be adding a little bit of this. It was a mix-in paper from Close to My Heart, and it has stars on it because there's starfish on that page. I really wanted to use this starry paper, and I think it's in Papaya, which is probably kind of a pretty good dupe for Calypso Coral. I think Calypso Coral is a little bit brighter. And then the other paper that I'm using is that wood grain, which is available still at Stampin' Up right now. And then I'm going to use Otterly Adorable for the rest or cardstock. Now, I had this fishy paper left over, so I'm trying to see if I can use it on this page. And I decide to cut it into strips. I think I cut it into 1.5-inch strips, and I tuck those on either page, either side of the center of the page, and on both the top and bottom of my photos. And it just kind of looks like there's a whole square underneath there, so it looks great. This A-frame cabin was in Bandon, Oregon. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I'm learning something from all the people from Oregon that have been correcting me on how I pronounce it. And we had such a good time in this little cabin. Across the bottom, you'll see a picture of the inside. Up in the loft there where the windows are was a bedroom. And down by the kitchen, there was another bedroom. And they both had queen-size beds. And so our friends slept upstairs and we slept in the little bedroom beside the kitchen, and it was just such a neat little place to stay. And you could spend a whole week. This is an Airbnb, by the way, so hopefully you can look that up yourself if you want to stay there. But this is just a wonderful place where you could spend a whole week just exploring the beaches, and when the tide's out, these big tide pools are revealed and the rocks are just huge. You can climb all over them. We only spent one night there, but we really wished we could spend 3 days there because we could have spent so much time wandering around. And there's also, I think, 2 breweries in this town and a bunch of golf courses. So it's a great place to head to if you like those things. The only negative thing I have to say about the place is that the smoke detector in our room kept beeping as if the battery was low. And they had batteries in the place. We switched them out and it was good for a while. And then suddenly it started doing it again, of course, in the middle of the night. And so that wasn't cool. My husband, I think in the review, he gave them a good review, but he said, just so you know, you probably should replace your whole smoke detector because we change those batteries a lot of times and that just didn't work. But other than that, it was great. They had coffee there and we made ourselves coffees in go mugs that they had hanging there. And we walked around on the beach. We enjoyed the beds were great. The sheets were wonderful. Everything was great besides that beeping in the middle of the night. I wasn't a fan of that. So I have my main layout kind of figured out here, my patterned papers, and now I'm deciding to add some peach paper, and I just put a nice long strip in behind here just to kind of guide your eye across the page, and I flag it off. I think I flag it off on both ends, like with a little dovetail. And then I'm going to add some other cardstock. I think I used Peacock, and I think Peacock is also the color that matches from Stampin' Up. Pardon the shaking, it's because I'm at a retreat, so every time I dab onto my ink pad to ink around the edges, the whole table shakes. Actually, I think that the tealy paper I bring in is Harbor. It's Harbor paper from Close to My Heart, but you could just use any kind of dark tealy blue from Stampin' Up. I don't know offhand which colors are in this paper pack, but I'm sure they're listed on the Stampin' Up website. Now, the whole time that I was working on this layout, I was getting a little irritated by that great big peach piece of paper, and I do something to cover that up a little bit in a few minutes here. But yeah, if you're thinking, ooh, that's a lot of peach there, Amy, I was thinking the same thing. But I was chatting and scrapbooking at this retreat, and so it takes me a bit to decide what to do with it. I'm just going to double mat this starfish with some white paper and then that Harbor paper. And it's kind of going to go, I wasn't sure if I was going to use it on an angle or how I was going to do it, but it's kind of going to go on that left side there where there's some space by the picture of the cabin. So I'm not really done my story about this place. I wanted to tell you about the little adventure that we had here. So we got up early in the morning so that we could get to the beach and check it out and check out the tide pools when the tide went back out. It was coming in the evening when we were there, and then it got dark and we couldn't really see anything anymore. So we went inside and watched TV and just kind of enjoyed ourselves in this cute little place. And then we were up early in the morning, made coffee, and we went. And my friend and I were checking out all these tide pools. And I said to her, you know, I've never seen a starfish. I've done a lot of tide pooling. I've gotten to go a lot of places with my husband, but I've still never seen a starfish. And I really want to see one. So we were going in these little caves that were made by the rocks and that you could get into as the tide went out. But of course, the tide was just heading out. So really, the tide was, the waves, were like smashing into those rocks. And sometimes we had to run out of those caves to make sure we didn't get wet. But we would, as soon as the waves would go away, we would sneak back in and be peering and looking. And I saw something kind of purpley. And I said, what's that purpley thing down there? And my friend kind of crouches and takes a look. And she goes, it's a starfish. And sure enough, on the bottom of this strip I'm cutting right here, you can see a starfish. It's pretty awesome. It's kind of like folded into the rock of the cave. And so that was really exciting. That was my first starfish I had ever seen in my life. And as we were walking back, we had walked quite far because we kept saying, well, one more set of rocks. Let's walk to those rocks. Well, we'll go back after we walk to these rocks. So we were walking quite far back, and I'm walking down the beach, and all of a sudden on the beach is a starfish just laying there on the beach. So that was my second starfish I'd seen in my life. So that was pretty cool. I got some pictures of that one. It was on its back, so we flipped it over, and the tide will take it back out, would take it back out when it came again. So that was a pretty exciting little jaunt. And then we went back to the cabin, packed up, and we headed out for our drive to the next place that we stayed. Here I am creating some of my embellishments with the starfish from Seaside Wishes, I think it is. And I'm using a rock and roll kind of technique to add some darker color to the tips of the star. And I'm using, I believe, papaya ink is the darker one and peach is the lighter one. I am continuing to use my Close to My Heart inks. I invested a lot of money in those inks, and I haven't really felt like I absolutely needed to get any Stampin' Up! Inks yet. If I really want a color, I will buy it. One color I'm really interested in is Lost Lagoon. I really like that color, and I think it would have gone really well with this page. So if there's one color I'm looking forward to getting, someday I'll probably buy that one. Here is when I decided I needed to add in some blue paper or some Harbor paper to just kind of break up all that peach color. And that pocket card that I used for a title, or I actually used two pocket cards. I used one for where I'm going to put my journaling, and then the one that says Our Happy Place for the title. Those are both from Close to My Heart pocket card set that I got at the very end when Close to My Heart was selling everything off. I got a lot of stuff then, so you'll hear me say that more often. And then some of the other items that you see stamped are road signs and stuff from a lot of my road sign stamps or stamp sets that have road signs in them. I do show you a lot of those stamp sets in a different video, and I'll link that video down below. I'm going to actually have a playlist as I scrapbook this whole West Coast trip so that you can watch me scrapbooking all the pages from this trip. This zip strip is in my stash, and it's from beachy paper from Close to My Heart way back when, and it's all starfish, the zip strip, and I just felt I had to use it. So that is where that comes from. I cut a few different seashells from a seashell set, die set that I have. Also from Close to My Heart from my stash, and I used quite a few different things that I have in my stash, and any kind of seashell die cuts or stamps that you could cut out would work on this layout. I'm just creating some clusters and some interest to go with my titles and to bring all the colors into each place. I did not have the best filming system at this retreat. You would have laughed if you would have seen how I had rigged up a filming system. I got it to work, but that's why it's kind of crooked right now, because sometimes it would kind of change position without me knowing, and if I wasn't checking all the time, then I would miss it. I have these border stamp sets in my stash, and I wanted to use one of them that is flip-flops in like a footsteps all in a row, and I wanted to use those to kind of add around the outside of the page as a little design element. So this is mink paper that I'm creating the whole layout on, which is again a Close to My Heart color, and it's mink ink as well that I'm using. So it's just tone on tone and just some little flip-flop footsteps, because that's kind of what we did, was wander around the beach, and it's kind of a fun little design element. One really neat thing about photopolymer stamps is that you can, if it's long and narrow, you can manipulate it on the block to kind of do what you want it to do. And if you want it to curve, you can make it do that. I did not film myself putting all the little bits and pieces back into place and gluing them down. So I'm just going to give you a close-up now of the finished layout. I did add a few things off camera, which is that ropey border and those Riverside Irregular pearls, which I love. I hope you enjoyed watching this layout come together, and if you did, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time here on YouTube. Bye!